Hello, beautiful people! We freed our friend Seiryu. You dug deep and pulled through it. Then we demolished Blackstone Dragon. I knew you could do it. But there's a deadlier foe. If you couldn't imagine, our work is not done. There's no time for bragging. The ambassador is here. It's time to subdue it. So sit back, relax, and let's get down to it. Elite Dungeon 3, the Shadow Reef, is located in East Diamond Hive next to where you train the best skill in the game. That's right, I said it. A dungeoneering floor a day keeps the doctor away. Besides the slew of mean-mugging mini-bosses, there's 3 bosses in this dungeon that we have to face. First, there's Crassian Leviathan, a sneaky snake summoned by the ambassador himself. Next, we'll face Taraket, an undead dragonkin with a face that only a mother could love. Finally, we have the ambassador, a seriously disfigured dragonkin who obviously skips leg day. Now that we know the main characters, let's see what we're bringing to the fight. ED3 is built different than the first 2 dungeons. The mobs here are pretty easy, but the bosses are kinda beefy. But there's still no match for my sea singer with scavenging and looting. You can bring an enchanted salve amulet for Taraket, but it's not necessary at all. A power burst of vitality is another good item to bring in case of emergency. And trust me, there will probably be emergencies. Otherwise, just make sure you have a shield and a desire to visit Death's office and you're ready to go. You'll be fine. Don't worry. I'm going to use the new agent spells because having them makes soloing a lot easier, and you're legends, so I know you already have them unlocked. If not, happy questing. I'll be here when you get back. Just kidding. Kind of. They're not necessary, but they really make a huge difference. I'm bringing a Ripper, but yakking is a great option for learning here. Heck, bring a Mammoth if you want. There's no shame in the Beast of Burden game. You're an absolute legend, and no one can take that away from you. Now that we know what we're bringing, let's get to it. Buff up and let's go kick butt and take names. While we're inside killing mobs, we're gonna run to the barriers and show them what we're made of. You should be able to soul split and drink up their life force with ease. Come little crabbies, I'll take thee away into our land of enchantment. It's spooky season right now and Hocus Pocus is stuck in my head. Sorry, not sorry. If you're a legend in training, pray against what is hurting you the most because there's mobs that use all combat styles. But you're a god tier gamer, so I know you'll be fine. In this next little section, you're gonna kill the zealots and the skinny crabs and then move on. I'll note that you can bring lucky charms, and some of the mini bosses even have special loot that you can only get if you have the lucky charms, but these special loots seem more like a myth. If you stand in the middle in the big space at the bottom here, the zombies will group up together, but they're slow as hell because they're, well, zombies. So just killing them in their 2 groups where they start is a very good strategy. We've got bosses to kill, we don't have time to wait for zombies to walk. I decided to kill this mini boss because I don't like his face. If you have lucky charms, you could get a Swordy McSword face, a legendary blade of nautical nonsense, but like I said, these items seem like more of a myth. If you've gotten Swordy McSwordface, let me know in the comments. When we get to the log, we have to walk over it. Nothing can slow us down. Then surge after you jump off the log to group up the zombies and send them back to wherever they came from. Probably hell, but it's not polite to assume. Run around the corner, kill the 2 zealots that are by the barrier, and we're at the first boss. Buff up and hub, and let's get back in there. This boss does have auto attacks, but they hit you like he's swinging with a feather. So soul split, pot up, and let's get down to business. Whatever you do, don't stand in the middle of the room when you start the fight. Crassians have bad dental hygiene habits that result in acid stank breath. If you stand to the side, you avoid getting blasted. Too easy. Next, Crassian will move its head to one side of the room and sweep the ground all the way to the other side. Then it'll start on the side where its head ended and sweep back to the other side where it started. Do not get caught up in the dustpan unless you wanted a quick teleport to Death's office. Just walk or surge to the opposite side of where you see the head start and wait for the sweep. Then go to the other side. You're a legend, so this will be super easy. Crassian sweeps the floor twice for good measure. Crassians have bad dental hygiene but good cleaning habits in the house. Go figure. Now Crassian is going to the other side of the room to try and sneak attack you and start the rotation again. Freedom and surge across the acid field left behind by a stank breath, and for the love of Gothics, don't stand in the middle. Just keep hitting and avoiding the sweeping until the boss is dead as a rock. Crassian does heal itself, but you probably won't notice this because your DPS is higher than the blood alcohol concentration of the drunken dwarf. However, you can poison the boss to reduce this heal. Finally, if you drop your Sunshine or Death Swiftness in the middle of the room where Crassian's head is at, you can stay inside of it while Crassian is sweeping. And that's it, let's keep going. You can see that I hardly solo these bosses, it's been a really long time. After smiting the Leviathan, it's time to go for another run. Run all the way to the barrier again and show the crabs what the World Guardian is made of. It had actually been so long since I soloed this dungeon that I went to go do a warm-up run to shake off the rust, and I ended up getting a 3-minute PR to Ambassador. Isn't that crazy? Now we're going to stand in the middle of the zombies to group them up and go to Pound Town. Oh yeah, baby. Then we're going to run again because that's what you do in Elite Dungeons. Forget Terror Bird Racing, put Elite Dungeons in the next summer beach party. Click the rocky edge here to jump down and we start to hit things until the things aren't there anymore. Too easy. Now kill a necromancer on either side of this middle room. I like to go to the right, absolutely no reason why. Then kill 3 armored zombies in front of the door to boogie on over to the other side. To the left and right of this next section, there are more rooms with a pillar called an artifact in each one. You have to click them to open up the barrier to the bridge. That's right, both of them. To open the doors to the rooms, you have to kill the necromancer that is in front of each door. Say no to necromancy, send them to hell. I went ahead and marked them so you can see which ones they are. After activating the artifacts, head over the bridge. When you get to the bridge, pray range and kill the 2 jungle horrors and the necromancer. Be careful because the jungle horrors pack a punch. We're praying range because the skeletons on the side, as you can see, are throwing rocks at us or something. I don't know, pretty rude. And I like to kill the jungle horrors first, just in case things happen and I end up a little too close. Next, we kill some familiar foes from ED1 in front of the barrier and then run down the stairs to the end of the hall. You're so strong they had to call in backup. If you're a legend gamer, like I know you are, you'll surge down the stairs diagonally and skip them completely. Kill everything that moves here until the barrier opens up and then we're ready to take on the big undead meanie himself. Taraket can be tough, but you're tougher. I'll show you a chill way to deal with him. Buff up and hub, and let's go back in there. It's Undead Dragon King clobbering time. At the start, we're going to hit Taraket like normal. He hits with magic and range, and you can tell it's range when you see him using Death Swiftness. Fireballs coming at your face indicate a magic hit. You'll see that at the beginning, I stand right next to Taraket. This stops him from flying away when he summons the big nasties. It's not necessary, it's just something that I like to do. But you do you, boo-boo. Like I just said, Taraket is going to summon 2 big nasties. One big nasty is bigger and nastier than the other big nasty. But first, Taraket is going to summon a Rift of Death. Kill the Rift or it will do things to you that you don't like. I know that the name is technically Rift of Undeath because it summons skeletons or whatever, but trust me, it's a Rift of Death. So what I like to do is push Taraket towards the east side of the dungeon, which I already did by hitting him with a stun, so that way he summons the biggest big nasty first. Then I kill that big nasty so I don't have to look at its face anymore. I mean, get hit by it. That big nasty will summon skeletons and a lot of them and it hits hard and it's just bad vibes all around. So when are we going to see this big nasty? Well, right about now. When you get Taraket down to 200,000 HP, he starts to fly, you can't do any damage, and the big nasty comes out. Focus on the big nasty and send him back to hell. Whenever you see a Rift of Death pop up, make sure to get it or get got. Using AoE attacks here is good so that way you can hit the big nasty, hit the skeletons that get summoned, and also hit Taraket. Oh, and also that Rift of Death that I was talking about that just popped up. Sometimes they're hard to see, so make sure you're paying attention. After we face Taraket at 200,000 HP, he's going to summon the Big Nasty on the other side. Kill this one too to make the fight a lot easier to deal with. Knock knock. Who's there? Not a Big Nasty because we're sending them to hell. So, do you remember that salve amulet that I told you about earlier? This is where it's useful. You can use it to get increased damage and accuracy against Taraket. I usually bring mine in the preset, but I'm not gonna lie, I hardly ever use it. I'm just too lazy to use my switches, but I bring it so that has to count for something. But that's why I didn't even add it to this preset. This is just supposed to be a simple way to do Taraket with nothing extra. Next, Taraket is going to summon some ghosties that move towards you in a long line. As you can see, sometimes they spawn in your face. They don't know anything about respecting personal space. I would not play with these ghosties. They will teleport you to Death's office faster than you can say by the 12 Dukes. So just move out of the way. Panic surging is a very appropriate strategy. This repeats until Taraket has been defeated. If you don't kill the Big Nasties and your DPS needs a butt lift, then Taraket will eventually eat them and uber heal. That's why I choose to kill them right away when I solo. If you're group bossing, you can literally ignore them in most cases, or kill the biggest Big Nasty and ignore the other one. And we've done it. I'm gonna grab some food after this kill real quick from the chest because, things happened. Now that we've slayed the unhinged undead dragonkin, it's time to go find that total jerk ambassador. First, we're gonna kill this undead witch and her 2 armored zombie friends. Then run down the hall and kill the Calgarian demon that's at the bottom of the stairs. You know, since it's spooky season and all, I want to point out that this dungeon is basically Halloween themed. There's witches, necromancers, zombies, skeletons, demons, and even undead bosses. Very spooky. Keep on running down the stairs and around the corner. There's 2 necromancers here that we need to take care of. Then we run down the stairs again and take down 2 more necromancers. They don't stand a chance against your big booty DPS. Next, we're going to jump down the ledge, run all the way to the barrier, and have us a crab feast for dinner. You'll see behind you that there is a bank chest here in case you want to stock up on food or supplies after facing Taraket. When the barrier opens here, there's 2 warp skeletons. These things hit pretty hard, so pray melee if you need to and finish them quickly. I have definitely been sucker punched by one of these things before, and trust me, it did not feel good. But now that we have animate dead, if you're using it, honestly, a lot of things in this dungeon probably won't even hurt that bad. Now run to the barrier and group everything up. We need to kill the zealots and the warp skeletons, but just AoE and go crazy. Tell the mobs to put some respect on your name. I mean, come on, you're the world guardian. Finally, kill the 2 warp skeletons and the skinny crabs that are by the other barrier. If there's mini bosses here, and there can be up to 3, you can hug the wall and avoid aggroing them. Or do what you want, aggro them, and make it spicy. We like it spicy. Now it's time to teach Ambassador a lesson. I hope you do like your boss fights spicy because this is about as spicy as they get. You'll see that I'm going to bang anything that I don't need for the fight so that way I can have some more space for delicious food because things happen and this boss can squash you like a semi-truck running over a banana. Just make sure you have a shield, enough super restores to last the fight, and a can-do attitude. Buff up and huff, animate dead if you're using magic tank armor, and let's do it. We're going to start by praying magic because the first hit is the blue ball. No one likes blue balls. It's a magic hit that wants to give you the kiss of death. After the magic hit, we're going to pray range and keep on hitting. You're going to pray range for most of this fight. Here comes the first blue ball. It happens as soon as you start the fight. Next, you'll get a bar over your head and you'll drop fire on the ground where you're standing when the bar empties, just like in ED1. But there is extra fire that drops this time, so to avoid dragging it around the room, just stand wherever you are for like 2 seconds and then move away. Or be a chaos demon and drag it around. I won't tell you how to live. Now Ambassador has spawned a black hole of doom. These black holes explode when their bar empties. To get rid of them, use a stun on them. It's that easy. Next, you're going to get more fire. I like to leave the fire close to Ambassador when I'm soloing. Just be careful if you get too close, you'll get slapped with melee. Make sure you're standing towards the south of the room, and when Ambassador turns around, he's going to spawn the Spinners of Death. There will also be colorful laser beams that we have to stand between. If you touch them, say goodbye. Move around the room, killing the spinners, and making sure to stay between the lasers. Each spinner left alive at the end will hurt you in ways that you couldn't imagine. I personally never get around to killing them all, so what I try to do is make sure I kill all of them but one. Tanking one spinner is easy peasy lemon squeezy. Tanking two is also fine. 3 or more is just really bad vibes. After the spinners, get ready to tank an explosion if you have any left. You'll see a bar over Ambassador's head, and when it empties, you get hit. Use Resonance and Devotion and it'll splash on you. You can also use Reflect and Debilitate together if you have another spinner. Another option is to bring a Power Burst of Vitality and just tank that bad boy. During the fight, make sure to keep an eye out for Ambassador's blue balls and the Black Holes of Doom. These mechanics, including the fire, will repeat until you get Ambassador down to 550,000 HP. If you can do one cycle of spinners, you're a legend gamer. If you have to do more than one cycle of spinners, you're also a legend. If you're using melee or in a group with someone using it, try to leave the fire away from Ambassador. Unless, of course, you miss the wilderness and want to relive the PKing glory days. If I'm alone, I like to leave it near the outer wall. Whatever you do, just make sure you don't leave it on top of where a spinner will spawn. Let's go over some tips while we're doing big booty damage. Like I said, bringing a Power Burst of Vitality is a good option, and I usually bring one just in case things happen. But as you can see, it's absolutely not necessary. It can also be useful in the last part of the fight if you get caught without adrenaline. Using Bone Bombs on the spinners also helps, but again, it isn't necessary. But if you need some extra DPS on them, this is an easy way to increase that. You could also Smoke Cloud. Using Greater Chain and Omni Power on a spinner is usually enough to melt it. Just use your thresholds that you have and do what you do best. You're a legend with big booty DPS, so you'll definitely kill all the spinners on the first try. As you can see, when Ambassador phases, he starts to spawn some crabs. They're kind of annoying, but just ignore them. Keep on doing the same thing until Ambassador reaches 400,000 HP. You'll get blue balls, black holes, fire, and more crabs. When we move to the last phase, our homie Seiryu heals us and kills the crabs. What a stand-up guy. During the last phase, you still get the blue balls, and every 10 auto attacks, there's a spicy magic hit. This magic hit will end your life if you don't use protection. That's right, use protection, kids. You'll also see some black hands around the room. When they smack the ground, they release some white voodoo magic clouds that heal Ambassador. What we're going to do is stand in front of the hand that smacked the ground, and you'll block the heals. The clouds hit you a little bit, but you're a legend, so you won't feel a thing. The hand smack the ground in clockwise order, so you can literally just move around like this over to the next hand around the room in a circle. You'll see Ambassador call out your name, and then that's when the magic hit starts. What do? The first time it happens, pray magic and use devotion. The next time it happens, pray magic, use reflect and debilitate. The next time, use devotion. The next time, use reflect and debilitate. You see where I'm going with this. You just keep doing this over and over again until you die or Ambassador dies. But you're a legend, so it's definitely not going to be you that dies first. This is the part where having a Power Burst of Vitality can be helpful in case you find yourself in a tight spot. Sometimes you might get overzealous with the big booty DPS and not have enough adrenaline to protect yourself. I personally like to prioritize surviving over damage in this part. As long as you block the heals and get some hits in here and there, Ambassador's HP will keep going down. And if you're in a group, most of the time there's enough damage that you can out DPS the heals. Now that's some big booty damage. And that's it! You stop the Ambassador from summoning Zotok. What a wild ride this has been. Now that you know how to do all 3 elite dungeons, you can start doing elite runs and make hella Skrilla. Doing elite runs is honestly one of my favorite things in the game. Now that you're an Ambassador spurt, go get your ECBs. Watching this guide will give you a 43% chance to get double ECB pieces every 5 kills. Thanks for watching! If you learned something or had a good time, don't forget to subscribe. See you next time!